This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, although this podcast is going to be called The Creator, we'll talk about that in a second. I just wanted to start off with something that I just realized right before we came on. I was trying to tell Tara, and she's like, tell Vish. And I'm like, yeah, okay. This is like, we're just going deep in the rabbit holes. Okay, so you know how with the UAP thing, right?
Okay.
And everyone's like, there's no evidence that they're coming from space. That's all I keep hearing. Like the NASA. Did I send you that NASA thing where like NASA's like...
That's the one I was telling you about.
Oh, okay. Where they acknowledge... So I didn't see that until I heard about it on podcast. I'm like, wait, what? NASA talked about it? So like I went to go watch that video and then I like cut it up. But like, so NASA's creating, if you don't know what we're talking about, NASA's creating a task force to study UAPs. Okay. So what they're saying is there's no evidence that they're coming from extraterrestrial space. So they're not coming from a different planet, but they're acknowledging that they're UAPs. Okay. And I'm just setting the stage for this. So, they see a lot of them flying over the water, and then what they'll do is they'll like go into the water. So theoretically, maybe they have a base there, or maybe there's like another life form that we're like sharing the space with. Okay. With that, other people are saying that they could be multi-dimensional beings or trans-dimensional beings. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that to me sounds ridiculous. I was like, okay, but then that was just freaking me out. So at the beginning of the week, I was telling, I don't know if you can hear Athena whining, sorry about that. So at the beginning of the week, Tara was at the cottage and I was like trying to sleep, but I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about UAPs, these like multi-dimensional beings. And I was freaking out because I was like, are they here at all times? And I mean, Tom DeLonge did say that too. He was like, when he was told the truth about aliens, he couldn't sleep for like a few days. Okay. Maybe I'm just gonna pull her a little closer. We're gonna chop right here and then I'll jump right back. 1 second. Okay, we're back. So when Tom DeLonge first heard about this, he said he was like freaking out and he couldn't sleep. Okay. And then I was like, okay, let me figure out why he can't sleep. So a lot of people were like asking him the question, and then I finally found one interview where he was saying like he was waking up every night being like, I can't trust my surroundings. That's why he couldn't sleep. And then it made me think of like demons and like angels and stuff, which is what he alludes to. Like all of these not extraterrestrial, these supernatural encounters with like ghosts and stuff, they're actually tied into this whole UAP thing. Okay. So we know a lot of religions believe in like things coming from the heavens, you know, like Christianity, gods in the sky, Krishna, Vishnu, you know what I'm saying? Like all these people, all these like deities that are like around us at all times. A lot of people believe in spiritual life. Okay. And he's saying that it's all tied into these interdimensional beings. Okay. With that being said, how do we experience the world? Like, oh no, wait, how do we see the world? First question.
Well, like scientifically, or just like by visual?
No, yeah, right, exactly. So how many dimensions is that?
Well, what we see is, I guess, 3-dimensional.
Is it 3-dimensional though? Okay, all right.
What does that mean?
Let me preface this. Let me preface this again. Okay, so I recently got a tattoo with the world. Like it's like my camera. It was like to commemorate like my travels and like how this tool really like sparked my sense of adventure. and creativity. So the camera, when I came home, like in the center of the camera where the lens is, it's the Earth. And then Tara was like, "That's not the Earth." And I was like, "What?" I was like freaking out, like, okay, I wouldn't have known that, so whatever." And then she was like, think about it." And then she Googled it, and she's like, "Oh, it's the flat map of the Earth, right?" And I was like, "Oh yeah," because I saw him using a reference of the Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when he was creating the design. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So he used like the flat map, not like the curved map. You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, okay, well then we'll just like as a analogy for that, it's like you shoot the world in 2D. It's a 2D map, right?
Sure.
So all pictures are 2D.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is really what like so many like chess pieces. No, like so many dominoes that like lined up, and then it like clicked for me this morning when I was reading this book, and I was like, oh, this is totally what it is. Okay, so we take photos in 2D, right?
Yeah.
There's no 3D photo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it made me realize like, how do you see the world in 2D? Like quite literally, if you look at the world, it's not 3D. You like look at anything and it's like flat. It looks curved, but you're taking a picture. I just blinked because I'm like taking a pretend photo.
Yeah.
But you know, see, like it's a photographer thing. Like photographers know that you're like only seeing the world in 2D, right? Do you agree with that?
Um. I don't know. I'd have to look into that too.
Okay, so here's another
that,
here's another example of it. So the world that he created when he tattooed it, right? So we know that the tattoo is 2D, right? It's on my arm, it's flat,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he shaded it in a way to create curvature. So if you look at the Earth, it looks like it's round.
Sure. Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty genius, right? Like it's art. People do it all the time. You can make people make like paintings that look 3D,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's 2D because you can touch it and you're like, oh, it's a flat image.
Yeah.
You agree?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so with that train of thought, we're literally only seeing the world in 2D. It looks 3D because of the shading, but it's only 2D. Okay, can you accept that? And then we'll move on to the next one.
I guess if we're just looking at only visually, right? Because we
Yep,
run
yep,
through
yep, yep. Okay,
tactile
totally.
stuff too, right?
Okay. So we see the world in 2D, but we interact with the world in 3D,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's when you get 3D because I'm like, oh, I can touch it. Oh, okay, it's curved. Like there is no
Yeah.
3 dimension visually, but if I touch it, I'm like, okay, it's 3D.
Like,
okay?
yeah, I guess you can get illusion, like the black Venta thing.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. The Vanta Black looks flat
Right.
because it's so black.
Dark. There's nothing that's shading from it to cause 3-dimensional
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Right, but you can touch it and you're like, oh, it's a 3D thing. Okay,
Sure.
so let's recap. You see the world in 2D, you interact with the world in 3D,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But how do you experience the world? The next dimension, 4D, time. I had to Google this. I was like, is time the fourth dimension? It is the fourth dimension. So time is how we can go back and forth. We experience like, how do I know this is going to hurt? Oh, it's hurting. Like, it's like, oh,
based on the history. Right. Okay.
Right? Reference points.
Mm-hmm.
We experience the world in 4D.
Okay.
Like our mind is using 4 dimensions. Okay. So there's 2D, 3D, and 4D. Okay. The book is called Flatland. Okay. So the book is like I was watching this UFO thing and they reference Flatland. So I was like, oh, it's about UFOs. So I bought the book and I started reading it. I'm like, oh, it's not actually about UFOs. It's like a philosophical book to make you realize that there are multi dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the book is called Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions. And I was like, many dimensions? Like, how are you going to explain this to me? And then the reason why it's called Flatland is because the people in the book, it's like an analogy, they live in a flat reality. They live in 2D space.
Okay. Yeah.
But then they're like exploring multiple dimensions from that. And that's what really clicked for me. I was like, wait, I'm only seeing 2D. I'm touching 3D and I'm thinking in 4D.
Mm-hmm.
So with the UAP thing, when they say multidimensional, how many dimensions are there that we just can't experience yet? Or some people can experience, like psychic, whatever. Like maybe that's a thing. That's another dimension we just haven't tapped into.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like if we merge with what they're saying is computers don't experience 4D. There is no time for a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll just last forever. So they're saying, some like theorists for the UAP thing, is if we merge with UAPs, with technology, we can delete time, because there is no, like, we can
Right.
like time is a thing that we experience because we're aging, but computers won't age
Mm-hmm.
because they're just like infinite. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what they're thinking as well is, when you see these things blip around,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're saying that, what if it's just a shadow? Okay, so check this out. So if you are living in a two-dimensional plane, right, as a human being, and you see a shadow moving, or like not a human being, let's say you're like a being that only interacts in two dimensions, and then you're seeing a shadow moving on the surface of a table, you're like, oh, it's a shadow. But you don't realize the shadow is connected to a ball that's casting the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So then that made me think, like, what they're saying is, we're seeing it blip, but maybe it's not blipping. Maybe it's moving at a normal speed, but we're just seeing it in this version.
Right.
Because we can only feel, and see within these two
Yeah, yeah,
dimensions.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That actually kind of makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it? Because you're like, oh yeah, I actually only see in 2D.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what if I could see in 3D? Then what else is here?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or what are these other dimensions that we really don't know about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have visual, I'd say. We lack in certain, we can't see radio waves or.
Exactly. But that was such like that's like me saying 27 billion trillion. You're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, you can hear what I'm saying. Like, oh, we don't see waves, but like, you don't experience it. It's not hitting as hard as like, oh, you actually only see in 2D until you touch it. It's like, oh, that's 3D. Like, this is like oh, I hate this camera. This is like a salient example for like how to embed it more clearly in your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, knowledge plus experience equals wisdom.
Sure.
So we know, like, I know that there's 2D, 3D, 4D, but I just made you experience 2D, 3D, 4D. So now in your mind, you're like, oh, this is a real thing now.
Mm-hmm.
You're more wise to it. And that's why, to me, it's like, oh, I just domino affected myself this morning by reading this book. I was like, wait, this is what they mean about dimensions. It's not like some weird, like a quantum realm, Marvel movie thing, you know what I mean? Like, there's a different realm and they have these beings in there. No, it's like, it's literally just a dimension we're not tapping into. It's a unit of measurement we don't have the tools to interact with.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're
like
saying.
Our brain, right?
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
brain
yeah,
and
yeah.
our bodies are only fit for these dimensions that we're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
But just like the bee, we can't physically see that radio wave dimension because our eyes aren't attuned to it. Just like a dog can't see black and white. So there's no dimension of color for a dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like when I said like dimension of color, that's a dimension. Like, it's not supernatural. It's like reading this book made me realize, like, oh, dimensions are just units. Like, what unit can you comprehend?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Okay. Now attack the argument just in case I'm like, wait, this is totally off base. Like, it actually makes sense to you,
It
right?
can make sense, but the only way to prove certain things again is with the evidence, right? So, like, are those things?
No. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
No.
As a philosophy,
no.
Sure, they can make sense.
As a philosophy, yeah. Okay. No. I'm saying, like, we don't have the tools for it, but like, the reason why it blew my mind is because I had no idea what these people are talking about. When he was like quantum realm, like in the Congress hearing, he's like multidimensional beings, holographic realities. I'm like, what are you saying, bro? Like this is just some next level.
I think
you dumb it down to this, like, wait.
Sure, yeah, but I think that's where definitions need to be explained. Like, what does he mean by that?
Right. And what do you mean by multidimension?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, I was like, it just seems so. This actually came up in like a professional setting. So there's two ways to solve a problem. Okay, I don't want to give away the actual event, but we were trying to work out this problem in my professional setting, and we just didn't know how to communicate it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So my approach was, I went super simple. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna break it down to its like root root question. And then the other person's approach is they tried to complicate it. They tried to over explain it so that
Yeah.
it's like, but in case this, in case this, in case this, in case this. And I was like, sure, if you want to do it that way. And then other people saw it and they're like, oh, I like his example better because it's simple. Like you fill in the gap. Like if you just give me the base model, I'll figure out the next steps on my own.
Yeah.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So with this, I was like, what is the simplest form? Because he's saying like the Congress dude, he was saying like holographic realities. I'm like, you're overcomplicating that thing, bro. Like I have no idea what you're saying, and you might just be making stuff up. But if you break it down to these dimensions of like, visual, tactile, and temporal, 2D, 3D, 4D, it's like what else is out there?
Right.
Because we know, right? Does it make sense?
That makes sense.
So
that's
yeah,
what I'm
but
saying.
how do you measure it? I don't.
It's not about measuring, or I'm just saying that makes sense philosophically. But now, what does he mean? Is he meaning it in that same sense?
No. Sorry,
that's a different
I'm not
aspect,
even. I'm
right?
ignoring. Yeah, for sure. I'm ignoring what that guy's saying because I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying, so I'm just gonna like ignore it. But when I read this book, because they referenced it, because they were talking about dimensions, like they were like, oh yeah, multiple dimensions, and then they were like flatland, and they both laughed about it, and they're like, yeah, that book. And I was like, okay, let me read this book, and then reading the book, I'm like, I get it now.
Okay.
Like it's not magical. It's not Marvel.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not Marvel
yeah,
movies.
yeah.
It's quite literally just like a unit of measurement you cannot see.
Right.
Right. Just like, but that's why we create RFID, like not RFID. We create tools to peer into these dimensions. I cannot see an infrared, so I will create an infrared tool. I cannot see in I don't know, name the other sensor data. So I will create this tool to sense that data.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So now the next step is like, how do you create these tools to sense other dimensions?
Right.
So this all makes sense to you, right? It's not crazy.
No, that makes sense.
I'm
Yeah, that's
running
why
with
we
this
have
one. Now I'm like, okay,
heat radars or things like that. Like, yeah.
right?
Yeah. So those are things that
like-
we can't see, but there's tools that we have. We know how to make that can detect those things.
Totally. And with the UAP stuff, you can easily fall into like weirdo stuff. Like when Tom talks, like maybe it's true when he's talking about like angels and demons and stuff. Like I tried watching his movie Monsters of California. It was so bad that it was good, but I couldn't finish it because to me I was like, this is just so bad. Like the overacting is just terrible. Sorry, Tom, but Tara was like, I think it's good because it's so bad. It's like it's almost so bad that it makes it good. You know what I mean? You're like laughing at the movie.
I see.
Do you
I
know what I'm saying?
wonder.
It's like one of those
Is
movies-
it playing? Yeah, like making fun of itself, but I don't know if it was.
No, but it wasn't.
trying to
It
do
wasn't
that.
making.
Yeah,
it
that's what I
wasn't
was trying
making fun of itself. It's like it was so poorly made that it's funny. It's like what's that? The Disaster Artist, the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of like that. I'm assuming I haven't seen Disaster Artist, but like I wanted to shut it off, and we ended up shutting off. We watched like Mars Attacks instead. But Tara was like, I kind of like this, but only because it was so bad that you're like laughing at the movie, not enjoying the movie.
Yeah. Right.
But anyways, so in his movie, he's talking about angels and demons and stuff, and like it starts off with a ghost scene, and he's trying to tie in ghosts to like UAPs because that's what he believes, and like he might be right, but it's like you need to make the steps in order for us to comprehend it. So now I feel like when we talk about multidimensional things and we bring up the 2D, 3D, 4D thing, it's like, okay, I can step ladder my mind to understanding what you're trying to say now.
Sure.
If I jump to the end, which is what we do a lot, you and I, like philosophically, it's like, what are you guys saying? You know, like the mind of no mind. You're like, what? You need to do like back reading?
Yeah.
I just don't want to sound like a weirdo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like with spirituality, it's like whatever. Like you can understand or not understand it. You know, it's more like the vibe I give off because I'm a quote unquote spiritual person. But if you like understand it or don't understand it for UAPs, you're like, that dude's a weirdo. You believe in like some weird stuff. And I don't want to come off as like a weirdo. I'm trying to like actually tackle this scientifically because it's like all of these Navy pilots can't be wrong. You see thousands of these every day. So there's something here. But what is it? But I don't want to delve into the realm of like, oh, they're interdimensional demons. You know what I mean? That's kind of weird now.
Yeah, those words have different connotations. Those are the different meanings itself. So that's the problem with those. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's when you sound like a weirdo.
I think that's also like, you gotta think about like, why did they change UFO to UAP? right? You're
Stigma.
yeah,
Stigma. No, literally
yeah,
stigma. They
exactly.
talked about that.
Yeah, because this UFO has a
Yeah.
total different context.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, they actually switch it again. UAP, but I don't use it that one. It's AAP, Advanced Aerial Phenomenon now.
Okay.
Because UAP was also getting stigmatized, so they're like, oh, let's just change it again.
I don't know if
You
it'll
know?
change. I don't think I've heard that. So I think there'll be.
Yeah, that's a military term. Like they do that more internally.
So that can
They
make
like
more
call it
sense internally,
AAP
though.
stuff.
I think internally that's okay. That's because they have their own definitions, right? That's a small
Yeah,
group of
yeah, yeah,
thing,
totally.
like within their own group. That's fine. Yeah, but like in the general public,
Yeah,
no,
it
it's
has.
just UAP. It's not. I don't think that's going to
Yeah,
change.
yeah, no, totally, totally. And it's not like weird to say, like
Yeah.
like it's far enough away from UFO. Although I've been seeing like a lot of news organizations go back to UFO because people don't know what UAP is. So like you want to attract the audiences, so they go back to UFO.
Yeah, that's a different
Depends on
scenario.
what you're like
Yeah,
watching.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so you totally agree with
Yeah, I can
this
understand those
dimension. You
definitions.
understand.
Yeah, I can understand the breakdown of that
Okay,
definition.
yeah.
Sure.
Right. But then it makes you question what other dimensions are there? And
Sure.
that's when it gets freaky because you're like, what am I not seeing? Like, what if we are, because people are like,
But I
oh,
don't know if it. I don't know if it. I don't know if it's necessarily freaky, right? It's more of an ignorance thing.
fair. Okay. And, okay. You're taking it like that. I'm taking it like ghosts don't attack me in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping because I'm scared of ghosts.
I understand
So
that,
that's why it's freaky for me. Like,
but we don't know
you're
if
taking
that's
it
even.
scientifically.
Yeah, I understand that, but you're adding context to that meaning without understanding if that's even real. Or if that, I mean, if that's even true that they can do
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah. Right. My mind is running rampant with this
Yeah.
infinite possibility
Right.
idea because I just freak out.
Right.
But I guess that's like the point of the mind, right? It's trying to like make you survive.
Yeah. In a way. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Sure.
right. Um. Yeah. I was gonna say something else about the dimensions. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm glad that you didn't think that was weird.
I wonder if, because it seems like I don't know if that's used in the scientific world too, like context of other
Dimensions, like
experiences.
using that
Yeah,
example.
using the dimensions as like like other people, how they see, like other, like if they, I think BC radio waves or something like that. So it's like, or
What was that?
no, like the radio wave is that another dimension?
I would say it is.
Yeah.
But that's
See,
what the book is proposing.
right.
The book is that's why it's like many dimensions because it's like, well, I haven't finished the book, so maybe there's like a spoiler at the
Mhm.
end. But from where I am, yeah, so go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to make that connection. I wonder if I've heard it like that before, or where I'm sure they've used different dimensions in that meaning, but I don't remember where or when I've seen that. Right? It just sounds like, am I making this connection on my own right now, or just like thinking of something that
like
happened in the past?
hindsight. Yeah. Because right. Because I can't be the only one that realizes this. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it must have been said before. We just weren't privy to that
Sure.
information.
Yeah.
Because it seems pretty fundamental. Like it's really just like a photographer knows that the world is in 2D. Like
Yeah.
we talk about that all the time in okay, so we were actually a better example because it's more recent. We were taking these photos with this photographer for me, Tara, and Athena for like our wedding, and the way she set me up, I couldn't comprehend it in my mind. She's like, just look at the back of her head. And I was peering around the corner, and she's like, no, don't peer around the corner. You're messing up the photo. But to me, I was like, but in 3D space, I can't see the thing. But she's looking at it 2D, so she's like, it will come out nice in the photo, even though the way you're experiencing it in 3D space is incorrect.
Sure.
Photographers do that all the time. They'll like contort your body this way,
Yeah.
for like models. And then you're like, this looks weird. This feels weird.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, for the photo, it'll be good.
Mhm.
Because we are actually utilizing only 2 dimensions. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we jump in and out of, maybe this is what it is too. When people say like, oh, I'm traveling interdimensionally, it's like,
Okay.
we're tapping into different dimensions all the time. We're utilizing different dimensions. They could be senses, like tactile, but that's 3D. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's like, as a photographer, I'm only jumping into 2D reality. I'm not using 3D reality. But then when I'm in jujitsu, I don't use my eyes. I like try and not even look when I'm doing jujitsu because it's a tactile thing.
Sure.
So I'm only in
Yeah,
3D
yeah,
space.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then if I'm like problem solving, I'm only in 4D space.
Mhm.
So it's like maybe that's what interdimensional traveling is. It's like not actually what we think. It's
Again,
overplayed,
I understand that, but again,
yeah.
that's where it comes down to definition. What do they mean by that word? You're
No,
right.
totally, but right, for sure. But I'm saying like what the line of thinking that you and I usually
Right.
use. We did it in spirituality too. Remember, we're what does it mean to enter no mind? And then we
Mhm.
were trying to explain it. We're like, okay, this is the most obvious definition.
Yeah.
So like, it's trying to take away all of the fluff and like what's really going on. So when we say like interdimensional traveling, when you think of it like that, like okay, I'm only using 3D um 3D capabilities, which is like I'm not looking,
Sure.
I'm just feeling my way through,
Yeah.
you know. And then 4D problem solve.
Mhm.
Like technically, if you use that definition of interdimensional traveling, we are doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. With that definition, sure. Yes.
With that definition, but that's the one I'm running on because that's the one that makes the most sense to the most people. You know, it's like it shouldn't like they say like simple is complicated understood, right? So if you can't explain it to a kindergartner, you don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Mhm.
So if I'm like trying to talk about holograms to a kindergartner, they're like, "What are you talking about?" But I'm like, "No, these things," and they're like, "Oh, okay, totally, I get it." So it's like you really understand the information, and that's what I'm trying to base it off of.
Yeah.
Like how do you simplify it so that it can be widely understood?
Mhm.
You know, I remember what I was going to say. So imagine if, all right, Tom DeLonge was like, we think that the universe is empty. Okay.
Okay.
Like we haven't found any life, right? Fermi's paradox. Like if there are aliens, where are the aliens, right?
Mhm.
So if Tom DeLonge is right and he says that the universe is teeming with life, it's sort of like being in the ocean and you're like a jellyfish and then you see like a piranha, you're like, oh, and then you see a boat, you're like, oh, right? But we're not seeing all these other things. But what if these things actually are here, but in different dimensions we just can't interact with? So when it's like the universe is teeming with life, it's like if we evolved in space, maybe we could see other life forms in space because our brains would like our survival tool, which is our brain, would adapt to seeing things,
Sure.
right? I can't remember. I think it was the alien dude who said this was like a great analogy too. It's like our brains didn't evolve to see or comprehend our reality. Our brains evolved to survive in the reality.
Mhm.
So like that's why we can't see radio waves. We don't need to see it to survive, but bees do because they need to like navigate around,
Right.
right? So in a different environment, would we have evolved differently and be able to see more dimensions than
Sure.
4 or experience more dimensions than 4?
Yeah. It's
Does
all
that make
based on
sense?
evolution. Yes.
Right. So now imagine if you could see into different dimensions, or you can. What's the best way to say it? Not see. It's like you can tap into different dimensions. You can
Peer into.
sure. All right. You could peer into different dimensions. Imagine like there's this one dimension, and then all of a sudden you see like, oh, dude, everything's around us the whole time.
Yeah.
But we just couldn't interact with it or like peer into it.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense? So maybe the universe really is. It's only the only reason why it looks like it's empty is because we're only interacting with the 4D that we have.
Yeah, and the tools that we
Does
have.
that make sense?
Yes.
And the tools, basically. Yeah, the tools. Yeah.
Because the tools
like,
do
a tool-
expand the 4D in that sense, right? Or not 4D, like
Oh, I see what you're
we
saying.
peer
Like the
into other
RFID,
dimensions. Yeah,
not RFID.
yeah. The tools have allowed us to peer into other dimensions.
Yes. Yes, like infrared,
Mhm.
right? Which is, man, I don't know if this is true. This is like sounds ridiculous, but there was this case, this like military documented case that there was something that was turning off like equipment in this military base, and they could only see it in infrared.
Okay.
So they couldn't see it physically, but when they turned on the infrared camera, there was something there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a more yeah.
Yeah, if they're using, like, I wonder. I'm just thinking now. Is it like a cloaking device that they have on surrounding their
Okay.
thing?
Okay, yeah, totally. So delete that example, and we'll go to Ryan Graves' example. They were flying, and they saw in infrared that there were like objects.
Mm-hmm.
But when they flew to, because they're like, oh, check out those things. We see them infrared, and then you can't see it. But they're like, but we can see it on the radar, but you can't see it visually.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, the cloaking device, or maybe they're only accessible in that dimension of infrared.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe you can't even touch them. Maybe they're just like infrared only. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Maybe.
you know what I'm saying? Maybe,
Yeah.
there's no tactile reality to them.
Right.
Which is why you go into ghosts. Because, like, maybe you can't touch a ghost, but the ghost is there. That's why you feel presences. You, like, I was always super skeptic about, like, ghosts and stuff, like premonitions. Not premonitions, like, how do you explain this? Like, entities. Like, okay, do you know anybody that is like, oh, I feel the presence of someone here?
I don't know anyone personally. No.
Okay, so I know, like, tears into that. So she's like, oh, I can feel like the presence of like my grandpa, right? And then like a bunch of people are, they like people that are into that. They're like, yeah, I sense that kind of stuff too. And I'm like, I think it's all in your head. I think you're just like fabricating a
Or maybe
memory
they have
or a sensation. That's what I'm saying now.
Certain ability that we don't have.
And that's what's freaking me out. Because to me, I was like, no, it's in your head. Like, we create the reality we want to see. So you're probably just, you're like, your chemicals in your body are igniting in a certain way to make you sense a thing, right? Because they did that brain thing. You showed it to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was this documentary searching for God or something. And then they poked this part of the brain. And then he's like, oh, I feel someone there now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but there's no one there.
Right.
Or the flip side, maybe there is someone there and you just like gave him an extra tool by poking that part of the brain.
Right.
So to me, for you and I, because we were watching, it was like, okay, so God's not real. Like, it's just an illusion in the brain that you can stimulate by pressing certain places.
Mm-hmm.
But now with this dimensional thing and like the tools, it's freaking me out more because I'm like, wait a minute, is there something to these people?
Well, yeah, I remember like we've had this sort of talk it went in the direction of religion where it's like we don't have that religion mindset. Like
you and I.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I can't comprehend how others have that. But like right, for them it makes total sense.
Right. And they're like firm believers, but I'm like, maybe you're just believing an imaginary thing. Like, because life is just a story we tell ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, you're telling yourself you believe this thing. That's how I see it, and that's how we both see it. And like, I was actually talking to my tattoo artist while we were like, he was doing my my camera tattoo, and I was like, he's from India too, and I was like, oh, like, are you Hindu? And he's like, no, but I have to be in front of my parents, right? I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like, so you're not spiritual, like you don't believe in any of this stuff? He's like, no, like I do mantras and I do meditation, but like I use them as tools, right? Not like devout religious, like, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I do that too. Like, if it's a tool that'll work, I'm gonna steal it, right? And then we started talking about how he was saying in India that the politics is so crazy and people's belief in religion is so strong that they will start donating. If they want votes, they'll start donating to a specific deity's like region.
Sure.
Because they're like, oh, if I just donate there, people will be like, oh, they believe in our deity. We're going to give you a vote because, you know what I mean? And then we were talking about how religion is a tool to like,
but that's like everywhere though too, right?
No, sorry, it's not.
No. I'm saying religion is a very big thing across the world. It's not just.
Yes. And you know what I said to him? I was like, oh, that's interesting because that's what they did to the indigenous. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, because my work like centers around that. So I have like some education in it. And they literally came in as like the British came in and they're like, they put them in schools, indoctrinated the kids, made the kids believe that their parents were evil because they weren't baptized and believed in God. So that's why like all the kids started hating their parents, and that's how you influence a generation, right? And then he was like, "Oh, are your parents religious?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're Catholic." And he's like, "Oh, Christian?" I'm like, "No, Catholic. I don't really know the difference. There's like some difference there. They believe in the same thing, but there's like one difference that separates them, right?" I was like, "The
Yeah.
only reason why is because Filipino people are like the Spanish people who colonized were Catholic.
Mm.
They could have been Christian, right? And but see, it's like religion is a tool to indoctrinate and enslave other individuals. Straight up, like we use it. It can be good, like some people need it, but it is also a tool for control. It can be used as a tool for control.
Yeah.
Right? But you and I don't see it that way, and the tattoo artist too. And I was like, what is it in our brains that makes us not want to fall in line?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it in certain people's brains that makes them want to shut off when they talk about UAPs? Like this morning when I was like trying to tell Sarah, she's like, "Tell Vish," and I'm like, "What is that in your brain?" I was like, "I don't know. Maybe like, like we're all hardwired differently, but how come she can sense entities and I can't?" I'm like, "Oh no, bro, like that's all in your head,
Right. Well, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's all in our heads. We're just
The whole thing.
the
Well, it
whole
is
thing.
all in our heads, right? Because like we need the brain in order to interact with our environment.
Yeah.
But I think
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
trippy part, right? But I think the trippy part now is like realizing that what we see as reality is way more than we thought it was.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we really we put ourselves on a pedestal believing that we are the apex predator of
Oh
the
no.
universe.
Uh,
No, I mean like
I guess the
we do that.
general. Yeah. I guess generally people think that. Yeah.
Name something more grand than human beings.
No. I'm just saying, like, if you control the scenarios, then it's not right. That depends.
Right, exactly. So like to the layman, to like the normie, they're gonna believe that, yeah, we are the apex. Like, show me evidence out
Yeah.
there. Neil deGrasse Tyson, show me the evidence of the aliens. And I'm like, you can't comprehend this reality. Like it makes total sense. Like that's why we create tools. That's why our brains evolved in this way. It's like you just don't want to admit that there's more than just human beings because of our arrogance, like our pride. And
I don't know if it's necessarily that. I think it's you don't want to speak on things without the evidence, right? That
no, but you can philosophize. He won't even entertain the philosophy.
of being
He's just like,
of
no.
aliens existing in the universe.
No, of the universe, but like these UAP things. He's like, no, they're just blips on radar. Come on. But it's like, bro, really? Thousands of people seeing this? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I get what you're
unless he's
saying,
like-
but like I feel like it's just based on because nothing is proven in his point of view.
no, right, totally. But what I'm saying is like, there are those individuals that will not believe in something unless they touch it. Right?
I think yeah, unless
Like,
you
it's
see
like,
the evidence
unless
of
I
it.
see it. No, but like unless it interacts with me, like even if they showed you the evidence, let's say they're like it's irrefutable, they're aliens.
Mhm.
We show you the body, which they did in Mexico, but the UFO public is very skeptical about that UFO body. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. They don't think that's real.
Mhm.
I'll just wait for the science. But anyways, so like even if you showed them all the evidence, right? Actually, no, here. How can you believe in a supermassive black hole, but you won't believe in aliens? Because I did the math. Okay, this is just math. But you haven't seen it. Like it's like they say it too. It's like science is the new religion, right? If you can scientifically prove it with mathematics, then we'll believe it.
I think if you show him the proof, he would.
But it's like, but like, what is the proof? We showed you the infrared. We have eyewitness testimony. We have daily occurrences. What more proof do you need? We have the radar.
Yeah, there's a lot more needed, right? Like that's the whole thing of the NASA's what they're doing, right? The NASA thing is they're looking at those footages and they're seeing like, oh wait, this is not a real footage. Like this was something else with the technology issue. This is
totally
right.
Totally. So what they say in UFO, what they say in the UFO community is they will use that as a trick. So what it is they know UFO communities like
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
99.9%. No, 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 wait,
yeah.
wait, wait, 99%, 99.99999% of all UFO encounters are fake. They
Mm-hmm.
know it. It's like it can be explained, right? But what about the 0.0001 that we can't explain, right? So what like if NASA's doing that trick, it's like, well, we're debunking all these. It's like, yeah, we already knew those were debunked, bro. Look at the ones that we can't debunk because we need your help.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the UFO community is saying. It's like we know which ones are fake, but the ones that are not, we like not
Yeah, yeah,
fake,
but
but like the ones that we can't explain.
but they're telling you which ones that they can't answer yet. They're telling you which ones.
What do you mean?
They're telling you the
Oh,
ones that they
that they
haven't been
can.
able to answer. Yeah, they're also telling you that too. They're not just saying that, oh, this is debunked,
No, no, for sure,
right?
for
They're
sure, for
also
sure. No,
saying
but
that
what?
this one we can't tell what it is. We need to do a bit more research. Like they're saying that,
No, 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 totally,
right?
totally, 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 for sure. But it's like if you can to the public, okay,
Mm-hmm.
to the like yes, you and I are thinking of it more like in depthly, but think about like headlines. 999 UFO things are explained away. Then people could read that and be like, ah, see, it's not even real.
Right.
But then if you're
Mm-hmm.
like, what if you flipped it? You're like, we can't explain these 100 events. You're like, oh, okay. It's
Okay.
like which
Yeah,
framing
sure.
are
I
you
understand
using?
that. Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. That's just
Yeah.
again, those are the taglines or whatever, right?
Marketing.
Yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But that's what they say is the psyop. That's why the UFO community is like, stop talking about the ones we know are not fake. That are fake. Like we need
No, but
all
they,
the efforts and the ones we can't explain.
right, right. I mean, they have a report out. I was looking through that report, and
You are the only person I know who look. I'm into this. I didn't even read the report. I'm like, I didn't even know there's a
yeah. So
report,
they
bro.
were in that report, because I seen some TikToks too explaining through the report, which is like
Oh,
which
okay,
ones
cool.
were, which ones they've answered to, and they've also listed things that they don't know what the answers are for that.
Okay, cool. Are they going to deep dive into the ones they can't explain?
Probably, yeah. That's the whole point of that team, right?
You know what I think it is? This is, yeah, totally. I agree. I think what's interesting about this too is we have the technology. Allegedly, the US government is saying they have high resolution footage. Like, you know, the stuff that they release?
Mm-hmm.
Like these like Tic Tac things and like, oh, it's radar. I can't even tell what it is.
Yeah.
Right. So they have like hyper high real definition of
These
these
things.
UAPs. They have it.
Okay.
But the only reason why they can't release it is because they don't want the enemy to know where they're spying. Because
Sure.
it's not actually
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. I
Like
understand. I understand.
like
Yeah.
that's why when people are like, oh, why would you release it? It's like, no, it's not actually about the UFO thing. It's like I'm actually trying to take over this country. But if I show you the photo, then they're like, oh, let's not build our base there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, I
You know what I'm
understand that.
saying?
Yeah, that's also what NASA said too. That they can only talk about unclass or declassified,
Right.
not
Right.
classified.
So,
Also,
but the genius thing about this whole UFO thing right now, if more people get behind it, is now we could all be like, hey, we're going to point this here. Like, you know what I mean? Versus like, whereas the military's pointing it there, not telling anyone.
hmm
But if we publicly say, hey, we're going to start looking for these things, you know,
yeah,
then it's more acceptable. Like it's like open, like, you know, like even if your enemies know, it's like, hey, we're gonna go there, guys, we're going there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like there's no battle advantage
Sure.
if we all public, you know. So
hmm
that's why I'm like optimistic about this. But what's intense too is like China apparently is they've announced that they have a UAP program too, and they're using AI to like scour the thing.
Right.
So now it's a race to see which country's going to like identify what this whole thing is
hmm
first. And I think maybe that's why they put money behind it because they're like, we can't let our enemies know before us what these things are.
Yeah. So that's a
Right? So, which was pretty
that's
cool.
our new
Like
race to
that.
the moon kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other things about EAPs? I just hit my. That's everything I wanted to tell you.
No, we'll find out as time goes on, I guess. Hopefully.
Yeah. Super. All right. Yeah. Totally. Okay. Speaking of time going, do you have a hard stop today?
Um. Well, yeah. Well, let's say another. I don't know how much time. Like, do we have? Do you have like list wise? A lot.
I'll just adjust the list according to what you tell me the time
Um.
be,
Yeah. Let's say another half an
or I'll
hour.
speed up. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Perfect. So yeah, I didn't think we were gonna go so long on that first one, but it just hit me this morning. I was like, bro, I got to tell you about this because like, is this like, I'm like, am I missing something here? Is this kind of weird? But like, okay. Anyways, speaking of time, actually, we keep Christopher Nolan, because this is kind of quick.
Okay.
So as I delve deeper into the UAP thing, it's 100% Christopher Nolan knows something, or he read a bunch of files or something, because Oppenheimer has even more like
He probably came.
uh
I'll say like, I mean, if he's read enough, he probably came across it. But again, it's like he's probably if he's saying it without saying it. I guess I don't know. It's hard to.
yeah. So the
I can
one I
probably believe
watched
that. I guess. Hmm.
that he like, and he's just like stringing it together, right? Which is what Tom DeLonge wanted to do too, like with his movies. Like, I want to create movies to make people like build the bridge, and then when you say like, actually all of this was real, then it's like, oh, this makes more sense.
Hmm.
I think Christopher Nolan's doing that because it's really weird, the rabbit holes that he put into that Oppenheimer movie, that his next movie is gonna be about aliens, bro. Straight up, it has to be. Like, he did Interstellar, which is about time, dimensional, and then you see like the dimensional beings. They're actually us from like, it's actually the main character
Right.
jumping
Right.
from the
Right. Right.
future to the past, et cetera, et cetera. So when I was watching this new YouTube like documentary, it was with the guy from Congress, and they were talking about how the people, the Atomic Energy Commission,
Hmm.
or like from the movie, like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
they
Yeah.
created the atom bomb, and they like, we have to write some like
Sure.
legislation around that, right? So the way they worded it was actually about like anything emitting atomic energy. So by wording it like that, they could actually study, they could place the secrecy level. Okay, wait, let me explain it this way. Remember how much secrecy there was around the atom bomb?
Hmm.
It was the atom bomb, right?
Yeah.
Atom bomb, the nuclear bomb,
Yeah. Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the other one was the hydrogen bomb. Okay, so the atom bomb, right? So many layers of secrecy, right? So in order to keep UAPs at the same level of secrecy as the atom bomb, they wrote this thing about anything emitting atomic energy falls within this category, right? So naturally, the UAPs fall within that category, so they have that super super high level of clearance that the atom bomb did. You need to like just
Hmm.
dysregulate the information or whatever, like keep it all secret, and you can't know what other ones are working on, and then you put it all together, and it's like, oh, this is actually the atom bomb. Okay, so when he said that, I was like, wait, Christopher Nolan already mentioned, like, he put that in there, and then like those names that he kept mentioning, like the specific people on the project, the people on the project are actually highly tied to more UAP stuff later on. So like they
Hmm.
turn, like, as their career progresses,
Right.
it turns out that like a bunch of them started working on UAP stuff for the government, and it's like declassified now.
Right. Hmm.
So it's like, did you put that in there purposely? Did you put that in there? No, or you know
No,
what I'm saying?
now
Like,
I'm just making a connection here. Is like, why did he fight
okay,
so hard to want to keep his clearance?
wait, what do you mean? Hold on.
Oppenheimer.
All right. Okay.
Like
Yeah. Why?
he. So did
Because he knew
he?
about the aliens.
Yeah, maybe. Like he wanted to learn more about it. But he like why fight so hard to keep that clearance?
Right. Because the atom bomb's already done.
Yeah.
That's interesting too. Because he was studying quantum physics, right? And
Mm,
they're saying that these
yeah.
aliens are on the quantum realm.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Maybe they did tap into like aliens. Maybe, yeah, you're right. Maybe he like, Oppenheimer's dead, right?
I believe so.
No? What? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because like, yeah, maybe he was working on a bunch of projects that like he didn't want to let go of. Because your work is already done.
Hmm.
Yeah, why do you want that clearance still? That's interesting. Yes, we don't know.
We don't know.
I feel like, and then the JFK thing, mentioning JFK in in the movie. Remember, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, and you're like, oh, he's just like name dropping the time. And then I read the book, and I'm like, oh, it's actually tied into the UAP stuff as well. Like, JFK's assassination is theoretically tied into, well, it's tied into like many things, like the military industrial complex, which is what they were trying to build with the atom bomb. Uh, and then a lot of UFO people believe that JFK's assassination is also tied into aliens,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, you mentioned these things. Yeah, last time.
Yeah. So it's like, is Christopher Nolan setting up all the pieces to make one final alien movie that we're like, this all makes sense now?
Maybe,
You know, and then
or
you
he
go back,
wants that access.
oh, like by making these movies,
Like, yeah,
he's
no,
using
like
that
get
as a means.
access. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get some declassified information, or get some classified information to be able to. I don't know. Like,
Okay. So Tom DeLonge, allegedly, Tom DeLonge was saying that he is working with the U.S. government because, so like, Joe Rogan was like, "How are you working with the U.S. government?"
mm-hmm.
Right? And he's like, "Because I'm providing a service." Okay. And then he's like, "What's the service?" The service is entertainment. If we can create these movies that create a stepladder for the public, and then we finally say, "Hey, it's all real," then it's more easy on our minds rather than just being like, "Hey, it's real," and they're like, "Oh, what does this all mean?" But if you watch a bunch of movies, you're like, "Okay, this is all clicking now." Okay.
Sure.
So what if Tom DeLonge's saying that because that's what he wants,
Mm-hmm.
but Christopher Nolan is the real one who's working with the government, and they're feeding him the information, and he's like, "Okay, I'll make movies about this."
Okay.
Like maybe it's actually like, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe that strategy they're doing with multiple people. It's not just Tom DeLonge. Maybe they're also doing it with like Christopher
Mm-hmm.
Nolan and like other people. Because like it's eerie how many of um how many of Christopher Nolan's movies are tied into this UAP subject. Now that I read more into it, I'm like, it's very weird that a lot of your movies I can trace back to are, you know,
Right.
are like related.
Mm-hmm.
And you are like stringing us along as long as you just read more into it. Do you know that the CIA admitted that? I gotta find the clip. I heard on Joe Rogan's podcast, but Tucker Carlson said that um, the CIA killed JFK. That came out recently. I gotta find the clip, but
Okay.
like I was like, wait, if that actually just happened, like what else does that mean? Like, can we see some validity to this UFO thing? And like,
Well, I don't know. Yeah,
I
what did he? Where? What is that? Like, who said it, or like,
no, totally.
where's the
I gotta
report
find the
coming
clip.
out?
I gotta find the
Yeah.
clip for sure, for sure. But when I find the clip, I'll post the clip. But it almost feels like everything right now is like crescendoing to a point that we're about to be like, this is what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like as kids, we were kind of primed with it, The Matrix, right? And like all of these conspiracy movies as we were growing up, you know,
Sure.
or is it just us because we grew up in that generation and then Gen Z doesn't care at all? Because I'm like, how come nobody's talking about this thing, bro?
This doesn't really affect people's lives, I guess. Right.
Right? Unless it directly impacts your life, nobody will care about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like not forward thinking, and that's what got us into this mess in the first place. It's just like greed, like greed for the moment. It's like I only care about what's happening right now. Like okay, uh, going back to the recession thing, you and I, like I said this before, you and I were talking about this on the podcast. You can go back and listen to it. We were talking about the impending like money issue that's coming out of um, COVID,
Mm-hmm.
the lockdowns. But you and I didn't make this up. We were listening to other people talk about it, and we're like, well, these economists are saying, we should probably listen to the economists, right? So it's like learning about these things gives you foreknowledge, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't learn about these things, then you're just focusing on the moment, which is not the best move because that's how we got into this mess in the first place. Oh, um, fossil fuels seem to be really good. Who knew that they were going to pollute the earth? I'm sure some people knew, but we just ignored that. We ignored those people like speaking about the writing on the wall. You know what I'm saying? And like, if we just look at the writing on the wall, maybe we can make better decisions going forward.
Sure.
Okay, all right, here we go. A more
I think
concrete
you
example.
would need to explain how this would affect your life.
All right, yes, yes. Okay, okay. A more concrete example. I'm tasked with creating an impact forces report. Like in my professional life, that's just something that marketers do. So basically what it is you look at all of the forces that could affect your product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Like
Okay.
let's say you're selling like toilet paper, right? And then you're like, "Oh, it looks like the pandemic is coming. People are going to want to buy toilet paper." Remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
people buying toilet paper. So the people who analyze the situation, the foreknowledge, and they're able to invest in toilet paper, let's say. Or like
Mm-hmm.
you don't try to say like you look at the forces surrounding you and um you like gauge your next action according to those things so that you can maximize profit. Okay. So in writing this, I'm like, I don't know. And like having to write this, I don't know if I should include the UAP thing in that. Because I'm like, am I going to sound like a weirdo? Or am I going to seem like a genius in like 2 years when I'm like, he was right,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But this is just like, if you move with foreknowledge, you have better insight into your next move.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah.
think it's important to look at this stuff. It's like, yeah, it might not be affecting your life now, but now fast forward, like during COVID, it wasn't affecting your life. Fast forward to today, Tara's like, why are the prices so high? I'm like, well, it's because da 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 da. How'd you
Mm-hmm.
know that? Because we just, looked at it beforehand. We knew it was coming. It's like freaking Noah's Ark, bro. The
Yeah, yeah,
flood,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, "Hey, man, there's gonna be a flood. You should probably make a boat and then put all of the animals on it."
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, "I don't care about that." And then the flood came, and then only Noah survived.
Right.
That's my example. It's like I feel like we should probably look more into this because this could really restructure the way we live our lives. Or
Mm-hmm.
you don't think so?
No, I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying that there are people that are,
Or
I guess it's divisions, right? It's like you can't only focus on that thing.
for sure, no, no, you'll
Yeah.
go crazy,
Yeah.
which is like why I couldn't sleep on Monday. I was like, oh, dude, what's going on? You know, like, but what I'm saying is like to at least like be ready for it. You don't want to be caught off guard when
Sure.
it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
prices are high. Oh, okay, cool, dude. I knew it was gonna happen. Whatever, it is what it is. You know, but like you don't want to be blindsided by something,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you do. Maybe ignorance is bliss, and then you sleep well, not having nightmares about aliens. Yeah.
Yeah. There's levels to that too, because it all depends on what's true, what's not true, right? Because if it's not true,
Yeah, fair.
we put too much energy into it, right? I'm just saying.
That is my fear too. It's like, am I just wasting my time?
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of people have said, like in the UFO community. They're like, that's UFO fatigue. You're just like,
Yeah.
but the thing is, I'm not basing it on things that I know are not true. I'm not like saying they're demons and stuff. I'm just like, oh, all of these army people are saying, oh, there's different dimensions because of this. It's like, it's actually expanding my perspective of the world incidentally because I'm learning about multiple dimensions. Like the example from the beginning of this podcast. I didn't know that before,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
studying the UAP thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not based on like I'm not reading the Bible and being well, I did read the Bible, but I'm not reading the Bible and preaching it to you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's like it's more like that's just base knowledge now. You know?
Mm-hmm.
All right. With our limited amount of time, is there anything else you want to go over with
I
the
think sometimes,
genius of
yeah, sometimes
Roland?
again, it's more about knowledge too, but it's like as you grow the knowledge too, it's more like sometimes what you're reading, it may seems like you're leaning in that direction, but you don't really know. Once you add more things to it that you're learning, then it may change those
Oh yeah.
what you've
Yeah, yeah,
originally
facts. Yeah,
understood.
facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, facts. But you know what that's like? That's sort of like when you want to walk a million. Let's say you want to walk a million miles, right? How do you walk a million miles? You walk, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
10 steps a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like over time, it's like other people are like, dude, how'd you walk a million miles? Oh, million miles. And you're like, I just took steps, steps, steps. But if you're like a million miles ahead and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
like, I want to get there, it's like, bro, you got to do all this back knowledge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why I think it's just start now.
Of course.
Like, I feel like if you stop educating yourself, then it's like you're always going to be in that same place,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? The tattoo artist, he was like, now he's like, when I was younger, I I would always party. But now I'm older, and he's like, he knows that I'm older than him. He's like, well, you already probably know this because you're older than me, but like, I just stopped partying and like, you get your life in order. And I didn't want to correct him and be like, some people do, but like, some people continue the path that you're talking about, And I feel like unless you make an effort to at least change a little bit daily, then you'll just be
Sure.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you're only then if you've stopped, then that's the level of your knowledge, right? It can't grow.
Yeah, or your growth. Yeah, totally.
That's the peak of your growth. That's it.
Yeah, totally. And like another example is like Tara's watching Vanderpump Rules, right? It's like famous. It's like allegedly it's a famous reality TV show, and those people are old, right? But why are you still talking about high school drama, bro?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like because those people didn't grow up. It's like, yeah, you might be 40, but you're still like gossiping about freaking dumb stuff that is irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's like that's more of like a high school mentality, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes for good TV, so it's good for them. But you know what I'm trying to say? It's like it's evident that you did not grow past that certain point. You're still like stuck in this one thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A couple other things with our limited amount of time. They found Tupac's killer. Wild. And now what they're saying, you heard about that, right?
Yeah.
Tupac's killer. Yeah. So
I want to know what you learned more about it because I got some.
Oh, please tell me, because I just wanted to say that if it turns out that docu-series is true, that Diddy put out a hit. And
I don't know about the Diddy thing because that hasn't been, I think, explained yet. But like Keefe D, that's the guy that they arrested. I believe there was some truth was known, but that I think he was connected with other crimes, that he was within the detectives that were there. Like this is way before. He was given, I forgot the term they used, but it was like a immunity thing. But only, only for those detectives. If he's speaking about this stuff outside, and if other detectives go after you, they can go after you. It's not like immunity for life. So I think he misread or misunderstood. But this is now many years later, because he had interviews on Vlad TV explaining all the stuff that was happening, but he didn't say that he was the shooter.
No.
Yeah. And he has a book out that explains this stuff.
Oh, I gotta.
That's what I've heard.
You gotta tell me after. I'm gonna buy that book. I gotta read that book. That's crazy, bro.
So like, what? Yeah. So it's
this guy. You played yourself, bro.
Yeah, basically,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's kind of what it seems like. What happened was, because the other people can look into what you were just saying, and they can go after you for that. So it's not like his immunity for life. It's not like that kind of thing.
That sucks. Well, I mean, it's great for us because like it makes for good entertainment.
But it's a very interesting story. Yeah, if this is all true, it's like that. It's like because he was on. He's on multiple interviews with Vlad TV. Yeah.
Wow, that's a shame. Now I'm gonna go watch those interviews. That's embarrassing. Well, I mean, no, not embarrassing. Like, I guess you just didn't know, but like, damn. Yeah. Is there some connection for him and Diddy? I saw that somewhere.
I think so, but I haven't read into it, so there may be.
That would be crazy if it turns out that Diddy did orchestrate the shooting. I mean, M rapped about it, right? In that he threw out a verse about that, and like if Diddy did orchestrate the shooting, who's it was implicable, or who can be implicated for the crime?
Yeah, but like I understand that.
Like, hey, you killed him though.
But they would have to have proof that he told him to do it, right? He can say these things, but doesn't mean that he told him to do it. Right.
Yeah, you need the recording. Yeah, totally. Yeah, true. It's like we all know, but we can't convict you for it.
Yeah.
That sucks. Too bad. That's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna definitely check out that book. And
yeah, because that's like as soon as that happened, I think after last week's thing, all I saw was like TikTok posts of the Vlad TV interviews with this guy.
Shameful. Damn, that sucks. That'd be so funny if he goes in depth there. He's like, yeah, and then like, somebody could have.
But he said like
And
I know
Google,
like in one of the interviews like he never said he did it, right? He said he
that's
was
what I
in
mean.
he was a passenger seat or something like that, or
Yeah,
in the car or something. Yeah. So
It's like when I bring up professional stuff. It's like allegedly in a professional setting. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, these are pretty true, bro.
right.
Yeah, all right. I see what you're saying. That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh Interesting. Uh okay, couple more things. Did you see the new thing that's happening with Trudeau and Google? I just
Google?
saw it this
No.
morning. Yeah, they're like threatening to like not play news in. So like Trudeau made some demand, and then Google doesn't want to play ball, and Google's like threatening to not distribute news to Canada. And I'm like, bro, are we just gonna quickly become a North Korean style controlled media reality? You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of scary to me.
I don't know what those exactly the rules are. Is it like something that they would have to pay to have the news up? I
Could
guess.
be, could be, could be.
Yeah.
Just like Facebook and
No, I
Twitter,
believe
they're not allowed
Australia.
to.
I think Australia had something like that too. Something similar like that.
What, that they won't pay, and then they're blocking
No, it was something similar to what's going on here. I don't know what happened there. What kind of deal they made with the government?
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's crazy now because you're like, internet was like, okay, how do you control? Because we always wondered that you can't escape the internet, right? If you put it online, somebody's gonna find out about it. But then now it's like you're figuring out how to turn off the internet without blatantly turning off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to control the news, everyone, because if people start sharing news, they're gonna freak out and panic. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
Or maybe, okay, so great example. I didn't even know about this wildfire thing that was happening in Hawaii until Jason Momoa posted something about like support for Hawaii. Okay. And then another I think BuzzFeed or something, they're like fire tornado in BC. I was like, what's going on? And it's like, oh, it turns out there's wildfires in BC, right?
Well, it was
So if
all
you
across Canada throughout the summer.
Okay, see, I didn't even know that. But it's because I get my information from social media. So if you start blocking social media information and making it harder for us to access that, then it's like you can control the narrative even more, which is what's freaking me out about that. Because it's like, if I don't know about it, then how can I make a decision or like act accordingly? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe this UFO thing will just come out and it's like only because I'm obsessed with this UFO thing right now do I know about it. But maybe people don't know about this stuff because they're being blocked like news networks. You know,
Right.
it's like if you can control the spout of the information, you can control how people perceive reality,
Mm-hmm.
which is scarily what's happening right now in the world. No, Canada, not the world.
Yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
to look into what exactly is the thing about, right? So I don't know.
Well, we know that it happened with uh, Twitter and Facebook, so it's like, ooh, can that just permeate everything else?
But did it stop the news
Like
on
they
Twitter
already
and
set the
Facebook?
Yeah, you can't access it.
Oh, what do you mean you can't access?
Yeah, all right, go to
Does it just matter
yeah,
on
they
who you're
didn't
following? I don't understand.
no, in because so news networks like CNN, you can't access their post because allegedly, I haven't tried it
Well, I've
recently.
been on
Like,
X, but I've had CP24.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Like
their
updates?
posts come up.
So how far reaching is this? Because I said this to someone else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I said this to someone else, and then they checked and they're like, yeah, I'm being blocked, and I'm like, yeah, I am too. Maybe I should check that actually,
No,
because
I've had
that's
CP24 even like earlier today.
yeah, did it just get unblocked? Maybe that's no. Here we go. Boom. Da-da-da. Showing it right now.
I don't know what you're looking
Uh,
at. Where is
okay.
this?
Uh, okay. So if you can't see, I'm doing it on. I'm showing you a video. Instagram. Go to CNN. People in Canada can't see this content.
Instagram? What? Which one? For who? For CNN?
CNN. Yeah.
Okay.
Wild.
But CNN
Let's
is
try
American, right?
CP24.
Is it more like pushing for more Canadian news versus American news?
I have no idea. Let me try CP24.
Because I got CB24 up on Twitter.
Um, CP24 breakfast option. You cannot view this in Canada. Well, so maybe it's just
So this is
Meta?
X. Yeah.
Maybe Twitter. That's what I mean. Maybe it's just Meta. Maybe Facebook, Instagram.
Maybe it's for Facebook.
Maybe yeah, isn't that wild? But people in Canada can't see this content. But I don't even use Twitter, bro, or X. I don't use X. I mean, I post on there, but I don't like
Yeah.
use it.
I don't
On
go on Instagram basically at all. So, well,
Okay.
I don't want to say at all, but
maybe
in general.
maybe that's what the hold on. This would be so boring for you to listen to it. And you're like, oh yeah, okay. CNN's coming up on my Twitter. So Twitter you can still access news, but Instagram you cannot. That's wild. But I mean, who uses X though? Like
I do.
the user rate's slowing. You do. But actually maybe now that we found this out, like we're all gonna start moving over to X. I don't know why X is not
No idea.
affected by it. But yeah, that's wild, eh? So if we just constantly keep like managing the data or the information, you can control evil. Like I did not know about the fires. So yeah. And like if that happens with Google too, it's like, oh, that's freaky.
Let me check
'Cause
TikTok.
Then, like,
That's a good. I'm
there's
curious
a lot
to
of
know
people
about
on
TikTok
TikTok
too.
too. That would be wild, bro.
I'll just put CB24. Yeah, they have stuff.
Okay, so it's really just Meta that has, or maybe it's like it's a slow rollout. Maybe they just first did Meta and then they're gonna move on to the other ones.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. That's wild though. Yeah, because they do that in like North Korea, bro. So it's freaky. Okay, last two things really, really quickly. I read the book The World Without Us, and I just wanted to say that it like blew my mind. And I don't think any of us thought about this, and it wasn't even the point of the book, but we have now created a symbiotic relationship with the Earth because if all of us died tomorrow, the nuclear power plants would run for a certain amount of time on autopilot and then they would just degrade and then the whole Earth would just turn into like nuclear waste.
Right.
Isn't that wild?
Sure.
Like
but wouldn't
we've
eventually
literally
it'll level itself off?
in like a billion years or something. Not a billion, but like 100,000 years or something like that. But
Okay.
not before killing everything on Earth.
Sure.
So like that's kind of freaky. Not freaky. That's freaky, but also ingenious. On the like, let's say aliens are running this Earth, and they're like, "Haha, aliens, we've just checkmated you because we created this thing, and that's why all the aliens are going to this thing." Like, how do we shut this off, bro? Oh my god!
Right.
Like, why are they all around nuclear power plants?
Mm.
Because they're like, "Oh, this is the one thing that could destroy the thing we need." Because if we're all sharing the space, you know, we need like these monkeys with their nuclear power to chill out, bro.
Right.
But like, no, isn't that weird though? Like, because there's 411, I think they said, nuclear reactors on Earth. So if all of them just like died off, we just have like Chernobyls going off everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, the last thing, and if you waited to hear about our opinion of the creator, here it is. This is the last thing on the podcast. What did you think of the creator?
I mean, I felt like I've heard this premise before. It's not like something new.
Just admitted that shit was trash. It's trash, right? It was like trying to be
there were parts of it that were good. But I think by the end of it, it was like getting boring.
Yeah, you said you were falling asleep by the end. I fully fell asleep again. I woke up. I was like, "What's happening? Why are they on the ship?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was not what the trailer made it out to be.
But also, like, I think there's a good point where it's like, it put humans are the bad guys, AI is the good guys, right?
Oh, yeah, true, yeah.
But also, then I don't know if I have a different perspective now from what I've been told, where it's like, if they're supposed to reflect us, why wouldn't there be bad AIs too? as there are good and bad
That's true.
humans.
That's true. No, because we didn't code that in, bro. That's what happened. We just didn't code it in.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm saying like there would be both, right? If people are creating these AIs.
No, yeah, fair. Yeah, I see your point. Uh, did you think it was? This was my perspective of it. It was like trying to be an artsy, intelligent movie. It was trying to be indie, but also like a big blockbuster. Like the graphics and like the whole
Yes.
thing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But like the way they filmed it and edited it was like an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
Like how there was like those cards in between. It's like the mother, the
Yeah.
creator. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to
I
like
like
indie
the
that.
I like the filming. I like the visuals. It was good, but it's just it's a bit boring. Just say that.
What do you think of the acting of the main character?
I feel like it's the same. He's the same character.
Yeah,
That's what I told you,
he
right?
might,
He's the same character
yeah.
in all the movies.
Yeah, that's what we were laughing about at the end of the movie. We're like, you're not your dad, bro. Like, you know, because Denzel's also the same character in every movie, but it's like we've accepted that. You know, he
Yeah.
can cry on command. We tried to see like JD Washington cry, and we're like, it didn't come off well.
Yeah.
And he was like trying to be like, he was a little too jokey. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, remember that scene where he's like, "Come on in the car, fun, it's fun."
Yeah, I felt
You
that.
want
Yeah,
fun?
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
yeah.
chill, bro. Like, you're overacting it a bit. You know.
Right.
I feel like in real life, he's probably
I
a
will
funny
say
guy.
I will say I like the kid though. The kid was pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, didn't need a lot of acting.
No,
To prove sound, yeah.
that last scene I liked it a lot. Like where he was crying, but she was also happy. I like that. That scene was good. It was
I
like
must have
right
fallen
at the
asleep,
end.
bro.
Right
Oh, I
at the
don't
end.
remember that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, true. Okay, fair. Yeah. I get the sense that JD Washington is a funny guy in real life. And that's why he can't play serious roles. Like he's just naturally funny.
Uh huh.
Like not
Yeah,
not
yeah,
funny,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like I can't take him seriously. He's just like comical. His face is comical. It's
Okay,
like
yeah,
me
yeah.
trying to be in a serious role. You're like your face is very like animated. You
Mm-hmm.
can't do this, you know? But he wants to be like a serious actor. That's what I got from this movie, but it just wasn't coming off well.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the direction. I feel like a lot of times actors may have certain abilities, but it's the director that's
I
giving the
see.
direction.
Pull it out of them. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But you know what? Your dad is Denzel Washington. You are making way more millions than we're making, so good on you. I just like to like balance it out
Sure,
because we
sure,
just
sure.
totally ripped, his ability. Just it wasn't the best movie, and I was really
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, because
But it reminded me. Yeah,
yeah, no, go ahead, finish. I'm just talking about
I
the
was just
budget.
gonna say. Oh, okay. It reminded me of Battle at Tia.
Yeah, but
Battle
that was really
Angel.
bad though.
Yeah, I fell asleep too. But it was like that. It was like that kind of environment. It was like that like cybernetics world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
That
guess.
grungy cybernetics. That's why I was like, both of them were bad. What were you gonna say about budget?
Yeah, it's I mean, like big budget is more like 300 million nowadays, but it was 80 million is a lot, but it was 80
Whoa,
million
that was
dollar
it.
budget.
That's low.
Yeah,
80 million is not that much money.
no, that's what they did with 80 million.
Oh, and they spent it all on the graphics, eh?
I don't know.
The
Just
graphics
spent it on.
weren't too bad.
Yeah, the graphics pretty good. They filmed
Yeah.
in. It's all added in after, right? It's all real people. They added in the robots. I
Oh,
believe.
that's interesting.
I was watching some
Okay.
behind the scenes, just how they were filming it.
They blew the budget on the graphics, but didn't save enough for the script rewrites. Because like, what are we saying right now? Like, yeah, the premise.
Yeah,
would
but
really
it didn't
be,
do
like,
that
you
well
fall in
though.
love
It
with a
didn't do that
girl.
well in its opening weekend, so it's not good.
Oh, really? Okay. Because people knew it was trash. What's the score on Rotten Tomatoes? Do you know?
I gotta take a look, but I think it was. I know the critics was around 6, but it might have changed. Let me take a look.
Okay.
Ooh, I had it just open here.
Is it certified fresh?
The creator. Yeah,
No.
67 is a
Oh,
fresh tomato,
Okay.
and 77 from the audience.
Really? So,
I think I can agree with the
yeah, yeah,
7. I'll agree
yeah.
with the
Okay,
7
yeah.
or 7.
Like if you balance out like the graphics and like it was boring, but like
It's an interesting
yeah,
world.
yeah, I'll give you.
There's something
Yeah, I'll
there.
give you a 7-2. I'll give you a 7-2. Like it's like you try and you didn't make it, but you did all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we fell, like you were falling asleep and I fell asleep, so it's like, yeah, okay, a 7's solid.
Hmm.
I agree with that. But would you recommend someone watching it? Like even though it's a 7, would you be like, or would you be like, yeah, stream that one?
That's probably
Remember Dumb
stream.
Money? I was like, yeah, I was like, Dumb Money, stream that one. Like you don't need to spend money
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Stream it.
All right. Um. Okay. Any last things? I know you gotta jump.
No, I don't think so.
Is there anything next week that's gonna be interesting or just looking
It's
for?
really not much going on. I don't know. I have to. I don't know. I don't remember. I forget the weeks.
Yeah, no movies, right? Like I was looking for The Creator, fell apart, but like, oh, no, bro, the maybe it's not coming out yet. Your brother was telling me about this one, the Leo movie. It
But
turns out
that's an
the
Apple TV
indigenous
movie,
people.
though.
Oh, it's not in theaters,
Well, they will have theater release for, of course.
but I could.
Yes,
Do
you'll
you
get
have
it
to
on
pay
Apple
for it?
TV. Huh? No.
Free. Oh,
Well, if you have Apple TV,
I did.
yeah.
No, I had to pay for Monsters of California,
But that's not. That's like a rented
an Apple
thing.
TV original.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
this
see
is
what
an
you're saying.
Apple
It wasn't
TV
made by.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That looks so good. I don't know when it's coming out. I think sometime this month. But your brother was saying
What's
there's
it
like
called again? What'd you call?
Midnight Moon something, like Leo's new movie.
Okay, I'll just put Leo.
But the premise sounds cool. It's like I didn't even know this, but the indigenous people were actually the ones who found oil,
Mm.
and then like it's about how the colonizers went in and married them in order to access the oil. And I was like, that's so, like that's not genius. Well, it's genius, but it's also that's like totally true, bro. Like that is how you would do it. You should marry these people.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, looks cool. And then the Napoleon one looks really cool too, but I think that's November.
Yeah, that's probably theaters.
No, it's Apple too.
Oh,
I'm
Napoleon's
pretty sure it's
Apple is
Apple.
too? Oh,
Yeah.
Apple's doing some.
Big moves.
I thought this was Apple. Let me see here. Apple release date. Well, it's out Friday, October 20th.
Oh, which one? The Napoleon?
No,
Killers?
the Leo movie.
Nice.
Apple Original Films today unveil the new trailer. So I don't know when's the Apple release. Shortly after, I would assume, or maybe the same day.
Oh, of what? The theater release and the Apple release?
Mm-hmm.
Of which movie? Napoleon or
No,
Killers?
Killers.
Cool.
I have to like read. I don't know where.
Oh, okay. But yeah, at least there's those two to look forward to. That'd be interesting.
Let me see. Yeah, those are like big ones. That's a Martin Scorsese film.
Which one? Napoleon or?
Oh no,
Killers?
the Killers.
Oh, Leo and Martin Scorsese again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good duo. They made that sort of Departed.
They've done a few, right?
Yeah, they're the really great ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like tag team. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So something to look forward to in the next coming weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
all right,
like streaming world, I guess. It's not really. It's
But still, it's like
you can have. Yeah.
You still watch it.
Yeah.
Do you prefer? Last question. Do you prefer theater or stream?
I think it depends on the movie.
Okay. Okay, fair point. I still prefer theater, but I've noticed that people who haven't gone to the theaters in a while don't remember theater etiquette.
Oh, okay.
I won't name who the person was that came with me to the movie but this person hadn't gone to the movies in a long time, and their first name might have started with a T, and we were just chatting away, and I was like, bro, I was like, no, it's a theater, bro. Like, what did they say? What did they? No, no, it's a theater. We're not at home. Yeah, it was a funny.
Can't
time.
go back 10 seconds.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, brutal. All right. Anyways, till next time. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors: Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.